Hello, students. Welcome to episode 100 of our short 8-episode mini-series. I'm Tormented by Gnomes. I've been your game master for the last 2 years. And joining me, we have Crowan, Leg Day, and Lemon Kiwi. Crowan, what's going on? How are things?
100 episodes. I'm just kind of stewing in that for a moment. It's been
Right?
it's been a long time. Oh,
If I was smart, I would have planned something like really awesome and special, but I did not.
I mean, it could be a banger of an episode. I guess we'll see what happens. But doing good. Just got back home tomorrow from a little vacation, or yesterday, tomorrow. What the fuck? Yeah, already in the future. Words are hard. But yeah, no, just excited to be back here and everyone, the whole gang's together.
Yeah.
Yay. Legs, how are things?
I'm vibing, having a good time. It's finally getting colder here in the UK, which is a godsend. I hate the heat, I hate the summer, and I hate the sun. So for the Brits, darkness has come for us all, and void corruption is the answer.
Lemon, what's going on? How are you?
Good. 100 episodes. Yeah, I was about to say I can't even count that high. I haven't done anything for this long. This is crazy. Besides like a relationship, but this is just a different kind of relationship. So thanks, Gnomes, for creating a really awesome story and somehow kept us going despite god powers and war and everything exploding. So
I look
plus one.
I look forward to every single Wednesday with you folks. Now, where we last left off is a little bit wibbledy-wobbledy. But where we are going to pick up is we are going to throw Leg Day right into the mix. On Nisa's holy day, you received a letter. And I want to rejoin you as you're holding that letter in your hands. And I can pull it back up if you'd like.
Yes, please.
A letter from a group calling themselves the Crimson Council. They want you to cooperate with them. And they promise to safeguard your family's legacy and Onderud's prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
You're alone as you receive this letter and read it over and mull it over in your mind. And just to be fully upfront, we played 2 days of in-game time without you. So we're going to go ahead and catch you up one way or another. I want to give you a chance to react to this, take action on it as you see fit, and we'll let you use your time as needed to get you caught up with the timeline. What do you do?
Athalor reads it through once himself and then closes his eyes and reaches inside his mind. I take it you've also had a read?
Correct.
Thoughts? Legitimacy? Crimson Council doesn't seem like a expected mantra for some kind of Underudi force. We generally lean on the blue.
Agreed. Crimson Council completely new, unknown, no information.
They say they can safeguard our legacy.
Unproven, no evidence.
I thought so too. What possible information could they want regarding Ioth Academy? Do we really have that much of a bearing on what happens in Underwood, or potentially the Crimson Council is a larger organization just presenting itself as being focused in Underwood?
Purpose identified as restoring order, rectifying mismanagement, and reinstating Onderud as a potent force in Anacra. Uncertain what insider information they want. Too many unknowns.
So we should find out what information they want.
Correct.
That would give us an idea as to their goals. They included a magic item to allow me to respond.
Diplomat's pouch. Very standard.
I take it they're generally untraceable. Gonna be able to find out where in Underwood this goes, if it does go to Underwood.
Will be transferred to the individual you address it to, provided they also have a diplomat's patch. I assume because they provided this, that they do indeed. We will utilize our resources and capabilities to uncover more. You may be able to uncover more through correspondence.
Do you think it would be too ham-handed to inquire as to their nature, or do you believe that that seems to ring true, that one would be on guard?
Whatever answer they provide to your inquiry will be informative.
Whether it's truth or a lie.
Or detailed or obscured.
I agree. We'll respond. See what nature of information they want, and what they are willing to tell us, or perhaps unwilling to tell us about their nature.
We will inform you what we learn.
Athalor, somewhat, as much as you can, with a voice in your head, ceases conversation by going over to the desk to, la la la, I'm done here. just
User
make
left
like
your
a
channel.
make like a Skype sound of it. Goes over to the desk and gets out some parchment so he can write a response to the Crimson Council. Oh, I do not know how to write a letter.
You don't have to do this live on the air right now. You can
Okay,
just say,
I'll
you can draft this later.
Yeah, I'll probably draft this up in the break for you. And Athalor writes a response and sends it away so that Lugday on COVID brain fog doesn't have to think about how he's going to do this in real time.
Yeah. Plus, that wouldn't make exciting television. Mason and Garnet are running around for the next couple of days. Classes aren't really resuming. Instead, they're bringing all the students to learn search and rescue, first aid, basic defense, and there's a heavy effort underway in the Undercroft to stabilize and clean up the alchemical wastes to make room for refugees from Gildenverge, which is the name of the city that surrounds the academy, to take shelter in the event. Yeah, right? Gildenverge? Yeah. In the event that an attack still occurs. They've said that they are planning on slowly reintroducing normal classes, but regardless of whether or not students are going to have to fight, they're going to have to be involved in defense if it comes up. So they're doing that sort of training for everyone. The three of you are exempt because you're already working on other things that are of strategic importance. What are some things that Athalor would want to do over the next 2 days?
Given the anxiety-inducing nature of the Crimson Council's attentions here, I think Athalor is going to remain very close to Master Mia Hefel and try and work a little bit more on this abjuration magic, because Garnet and Mantra certainly got him thinking that, like, there's definitely a world where bringing the sage back means that I lose Uncle, and Athalor wants to be able to stand on his own 2 feet when it comes to his magic.
Okay. Yeah, Hefel is more than happy to work with you on that. It's your birthright, frankly. And do you bring up any topics such as the Crimson Council with him, or do you just focus on studies?
I think that Athalor's in a place where, like, for better or worse, he does trust Mia Hefel as a confidant, and yeah, he'll broach the subject. Master, before we go further with this, I want to ask your opinion, insights, or generally bring to your notice, I suppose. I've been approached via mail by a newly formed group that seems to have special interests in Underwood with the Crimson Council. They seem well informed of events that are happening around Underwood and seem to project that they could protect the family's legacy. And in return, they're looking for information about the academy. Well, I don't plan on betraying my classmates here. I was wondering if you knew anything come to mind from the words Crimson Council? Any particularly red-obsessed families that might well have lent their identity towards this, or potentially ones that could be false flagged by this kind of name?
Well, the Miamere family does tend to take up the art of the spellblade and practice more of the war magic that we develop, but even they don't use crimson or any shades of red in their heraldry. This is completely unprecedented. And the timing is interesting.
Underwood's general question.
Mhm.
Guided by Vijaya, is that a standard sign-off?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It is not out of the ordinary.
So that wouldn't be an identifier.
Mm-hmm. If you're willing to give him a look at the letter, he would love to analyze it. He doesn't know if anything will come of it, but, you know, perhaps it'll trigger some sort of memory or something.
Athalor's willing. Hands over the letter.
Okay.
Take a bite of chicken.
He takes some notes on it while giving you some exercises to work on and just sort of goes over it, studies, brings out a magnifying glass, examines everything, casts a few different spells over it, looking for hidden messages and such. When he's done, and it takes him a good half hour or so, he'll mention, I have received news from home, Master Anandarud.
While looking at this?
No, just prior. You seemed distracted. I thought taking some time to focus on magic would do you some good first. Assist with your poise. The Council of the Kothramori has seen fit to relieve Hadarai on Onderud of his duties in a temporary medical capacity, citing the need for him to recover from the attack on our home.
Medical capacity?
Yes.
Who began the motion?
That I don't have. It was
That we
presented
should
by
know.
one would think Lewin. And I believe it did originate from Nithroel Lewin, the Magister. But it passed rather quickly. And it was all couched in the language of service and gratitude.
My father, I assume, is still in good health, regardless of what medical mumbo-jumbo has been used to attempt to depose him.
Yes, he's still in contact, and is in good health, and is still in possession of his own faculties, and means of communication and individual freedom. For now.
For now.
For now. This letter coinciding with this invocation of procedure to sever him from the reins of power is hardly coincidental.
Agreed.
I can assure you that your father is not merely waiting for the rest of the abjurers to decide his fate, and neither am I. But as his heir, it's only fit that you be aware.
Thank you.
Yes. Do let me know if this Crimson Council responds to you. should be most interested to see what they have to say next.
May I have though?
Yes, Athalor.
What was it like when my father returned last time from the exile?
Your father and your uncle were heroes. They were young, they were fashionable, daring, much talked about. They built a strong connection with the Charrier Dragon tribe, well regarded for their powerful sorcerers. They traveled across almost every single refuge of our people. They'd been to the Vales of the Holdra. They brought back all sorts of new ways of magical thinking. And they did so exactly when their own father perished. They were somewhat of a celebrity moment, I would say. Obviously, not everyone was pleased, but the entire refuge was abuzz with talk. They were quite popular.
And my grandfather was also from Moimor, yes?
Yes.
If I
Our
was to return,
Mhm.
the seat would not be vacant when I did so.
You mean
Athalor makes a
Go
deep
ahead.
eye contact with me, Ethel,
Mm-hmm.
which means my return needs to be all the more dramatic, more powerful. I've been there for the slaying of gods. I've destroyed an army.
Quite.
Whether my
Quite.
father is deposed or no, I will remain heir to Underwood if I'm not heir to Hadorai. Athalor lifts up the quill. I am heir to the Alpha. Would you be by my
Perhaps,
side?
as I've served your father, so too would I serve you, Athalor. In my actual capacity.
I appreciate that.
He takes this in thought, and it takes him a while to get back to your lessons. First he says, perhaps it would suit our people to become more aware of your deeds. After all, a story is a powerful thing.
I have a symbol. 6 platinum gears. I bought back from the tower in Diffraxis. It could only ever be shaped by the designers. It could only ever be taken from their cold, dead hands and the towers and the palaces in which their designers live. We could shape them into something. A message of what the Alpha are doing beyond the caverns of refuges.
I'm intrigued to see what you come up with. Symbols and stories both have their power. And if you are to stand of your own right, then you'll need something to amplify that.
I'm willing to stand on my own 2 feet. Athalor gives a resolute nod and returns to the abjuration exercises.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to happen over the next 2 days, or focus primarily on those exercises with Mia Hethil?
Grind set, baby.
Grind set. All right. The following day, you look for Garnet and Mason at breakfast. But they are not there. A little asking around indicates that they've gone down to the causeway, the fortress of the Wardens. Finding your way further and further, you end up in the diplomatic wing, just outside the teleportation circle, where dignitaries are brought in to be entertained and to have private meetings with important figures of note. Out in the hallway are 2 Phoenix Knights. And we are going to briefly turn back inside the chamber beyond, where a fine Bronthan breakfast has been set. Garnet and Inaros sit across the table from each other, and Mason is there too.
Hey guys. I can still leave. It's like, it's not a.
Yeah, he was like serving you tea and stuff. Like he
Mhm.
was a good
Yeah,
host.
he's standing up. He's, bringing you stuff. He's doing the whole 9 yards, treating you like you're totally supposed to be here, and you're not a weird third wheel or anything.
Thank you. Oh, lovely tea. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. You've got your pomegranate juice. You've got some like spiced pastries with nuts in them. All sorts of different some fresh fruit. Lots of luxury Bronthan items.
We're eating good.
And he's being polite, and he hasn't brought up the full business to which to attend yet. He's making small talk for the time being. And he's doing a good job of not seeming, even if the situation seems awkward, he's doing a good job of not seeming awkward. Like, not even recognizing it. But he's not guiding the conversation towards the actual topic at hand. This will go on until something changes.
Mason would just like politely like respond to the small talk, then just like awkwardly look over to Garnet of just like, is something gonna happen here? Like, what's?
I bet she's like super into the small talk too, because like it's just normal and not business like. And he's probably talking about himself or asking, I don't know, would he be talking about his like stuff going on at Brontha, or would he be asking us questions?
Both. He does he does a thing where he asks you a question, hears about it, and then mentions something from his life that like shows that he understands their empathy about it, which leads into another question and stuff. He in conversation he talks a bit about his duties as the marshal, putting down like bandits and stuff. Yeah, he leads armies, but mostly internally. He's responsible for internal security of the nation. So if there's, brigandry or criminals and stuff, he's not the sheriff exactly. He is responsible for internal defense.
So like Garnet's like super interested in his martial stuff and is like asking him like, oh, what's the craziest like criminal you've ever stopped? And she's super interested and is like almost completely forgotten about. But she's not like sidelining Mason at all. She's just like, oh my god, like isn't that crazy? And is like having this lovely conversation.
And Naros
Yeah.
totally does the like, so how do they handle things out where you're from? To Mason, just looping him in, including him in the conversation.
Respond politely, get the vibe that like, okay, this isn't progressing. Both of them are enjoying this way too much. So it's just gonna go with the flow for now and respond politely and all that.
Mhm.
Not go into like super big depth, but just kind of still a little bit of like, okay, when's this actually gonna go down? But
Oh, can
we're
I do
chilling
an
for now.
insight check to see if I read Mason's not getting this vibe?
Go ahead.
The character sheet would load. Oh my god, it's fully frozen. You
As
Can
am
you roll
I.
for me? Oh, okay. Wait, I'm in. Okay, so I'll say that I'm picking up that Mason is like something's up, and I'm like, oh, right. Gives like Mason the nod, like, oh, sorry. Inaros, so what were you here to share with us?
Of course. And he looks up at the 2 servants and the Phoenix Knight who are all aiding him. Excuse me. Please see to it that we don't run out of tea. I think we're getting a little bit low. Of course, Lord Marshal. They both bow and they step out the door to the side. Athalor. The door opens and 2 servants and another Phoenix Knight emerge in quick succession. What do you do?
Bows his head, tilts as well to see if he can see past them. I
Mhm.
assume they're coming out of this door. Oh no, this door. Okay, so I would see Mantra quite easily.
Correct.
Oh, hello, Mantra. You guys have been busy.
Oh, turn over. Oh, Athalor, hey, come get in here.
Make it a party. Yep.
I turn to Inaris quickly. Oh, is that all right?
Of course. Lord Anandrid, please be welcome.
Athalor steps in, does a fairly deep bow to Inaros. Pleasure to see you, Lord Marshal.
He did not bring a fourth place setting. He is
That's
now
okay.
cobbling something together from like spared, like the thing that goes under the teapot. He's just, MacGyvering a place setting for you. It will not fulfill all the standard Bronthan breakfast etiquette, but he is absolutely,
That's quite
making
all right.
do.
I came
Mason
from
will,
breakfast.
Mason like consolidate like a plate or two. Like, oh, here you go. Here's another plate. Another
The
plate.
extra dessert fork, to use as a normal fork.
Athalor takes place opposite Mantra and sort of like settles in quietly. Like, oh, I'll tell you about my day later. This seems like a thing.
After pouring you some pomegranate juice, he'll go ahead and sit back and would you have me continue, Garnet?
Go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
No, of course, of course. I have spoken with Spymaster Seer, as well as some others, and I believe I've gleaned the identity of our undisclosed representative in the Onderud Refuge. His name is Evendal Namiamer, a banker who is high enough in the ranks of society to have access to the halls of power without actually calling himself a member of the council. One of those figures who's essential, but whose name would be known by none outside the actual halls of power. He receives regular payments, but seems to be, despite his career, what I would call an Alfar of Honor. He has been relaying information to Brontha for the last year, 2 years or so. I have gone no further than this. I assumed that you would want a chance to intervene as needed.
Did Spymaster Seer maybe disclose the motivation behind their exchange? Is it just money?
Principally monetary. But I also believe that Evendal has a desire to aid the thwarting of infernal agents. A desire second only to his financial ambitions.
Athalor, is the name familiar?
Want me to roll a history check here, Nabs?
Yeah, it's going to be a high DC because this is not a big name, but there's a chance you would be aware.
Yeah, why not?
Done any banking?
22. Yeah, you would have encountered Evendal during your upbringing. He would have been around.
Can I get a spelling on that? In the
Yeah,
chat?
absolutely. He's from the noble family of Miamer. He is not from like the main line. He's a Na instead of an On. He's a banker. He's worked closely with the last few treasurers and grand artificers of the refuge. Deals a lot with financial placements for when people want to purchase your goods but lack the immediate capital. Is involved with that. A lot of banking, a lot of lending, and a reputation for being bold in his dealings.
Athalor conveys this to the rest of the party. That also means that he would have a good idea of where weapons are going.
Which is, of course, of great import to those concerned about possible conflicts with Brontha.
Okay. Did you find out anything else? Did Steer seem, or Spymaster Steer seem curious to know who wanted this information?
I avoided that topic. In fact, I primarily avoided Spymaster Seer. He's the canny sort, and I wouldn't like to go toe-to-toe with him in that particular arena. I worked around him as much as possible. Now, I don't imagine it's going to be a secret that I've been asking, but if I've been sufficiently discreet, this isn't outside the realm of my concern. I sit on the ruling council of Brontha.
I believe Evandale would likely have good cover to leave Underwood, especially going to Brontha, given the shipments of weapons may be secure, interest payments, etc., on larger shipments from Underwood.
Yes.
Probably his way in and out.
Yes, not that there's been any dealings of that sort recently. There was some stockpiling a while ago, but in the wake of the recent peace talks, there's been no large purchases. But he absolutely has business contacts in Brontha, and it wouldn't be out of the question for him to make that journey. And should you so desire, I would be happy to facilitate that.
Outside question.
Mhm.
Is this a family that has beef with on the Athalor's family?
No. This family is mostly known for their war mages and like wardens. They actually use the combat magic. They have a lot of what military Onderud has. The Miamer family is heavily involved with that. The Lewin family has beef with Athalor's family, and the Castle Tenera family is married, like is linked to his family by marriage.
What do the Lewins do?
The Lewins are sorcerers. They're actually descended from the Holdra of Angren. So they have a lot of like really powerful sorcerers. They do a lot of magical experimentation. They aren't so much locked into the dogma or traditional methods of Onderud, which makes them very, very valuable because they often are good at coming up with new war magic and new ideas that are not orthodox.
Okay.
And because the city's a magocracy and magical power has something to do with your actual rank in society, that's kind of been how they've managed to stay in power.
Inaros, have you made direct contact with Mr. Evandale, was it?
No, not yet.
You want to?
I'd be happy to. I can ask him to visit me in Brontha to discuss a purchase of... We have budget in the Internal Defense Fund. I'm sure enchanted weapons would be important as the Ravener hordes are coalescing to the south and to the east.
And is looking at the party now. Well, maybe we should discuss this information and what we should do next with El now and others.
Is it
I
alright to
agree.
discuss it here too, or should we wait?
I just don't want to implicate Inaros if...
It would be diplomatically troublesome.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Naros. Did Mason Athalor, did you have more questions for him?
Just
Um,
thanks for doing
Yes,
this.
and I believe I talked to the general, but haven't quite heard back yet about a shipment of training spears for our Bronfin contingent.
I'll make
I'm
sure to
willing
bring that
push
up.
deposit.
Mm-hmm. I'll speak with the general as soon as I return.
I appreciate it.
He looks across the table over at Garnet for a moment as the other two have spoken.
Could I just have a moment with Inaros for quickly?
Yep, feel free. Archer gets up immediately.
Absolutely.
walking away.
Athalor is like also with much like later.
It's just
Does the
shaking.
Does the polite thing of like going to the door and like turning around and like bowing to Naris, whatever. And, like, thank you for the meal and doing all this, and then get the fuck out of there.
Time to
All
do.
right. The door shuts behind them. And it echoes oddly loudly across the beautiful flagstones of the floor.
She'll get up and walk over to him and sort of
Mm-hmm.
stand at the corner and wait for him to also get up.
Mm-hmm. He also gets up. As soon as you stand, he stands.
I guess she kind of like looks up at him. She's like thinking deeply and then looks up at him. Sort of
Mhm.
these kind of like large doe eyes, just very soft and naive, innocent, not really sure, but
Mm-hmm.
and says, really appreciated your kindness. And I think my father would have really liked you. And your loyalty to Brontha and I hasn't gone unnoticed.
He smiles and gives you a slight bow and says, "For you, Garnet, I would do anything."
On that note, I do have one last request. Um, I want to know the author of the letter that was most recently sent to my mother. Someone from the Dune Riders. I want to name an address.
Yes. He ponders for a moment, and the Dungeon Master goes through his notes.
Who are you to condemn to death today? No? Round and round the wheel goes, on Hoover Frag lands no one.
Her name is Tamina Odonaru. She hails from the Odonaru tribe, who converted to the light of the Sunrider after we shielded them from Diffraxis. I find the choice of respondent telling.
DM question, do I know who this is?
That's Pevom's family.
Oh, they want you married in.
So is he kind of saying that he saw the letter, read the letter, knows about
He knows
The
about the letter. Yes. It was discussed on the council.
Okay. Okay, right. She kind of seems troubled and says, they questioned my father's honor. And she kind of bites her cheek, holding back what she wants to say.
An insult entirely unearned.
I need to think more about this situation. I mean, I've only been back for a few months, and this family is questioning my father and is speaking of my future without me being present, hasn't sent word to me when I was found safe. Like, is this really an alliance? Like, who is this benefiting?
They see things only in terms of honor and swords, Garnet. At their scale, they don't consider the people involved at all. Where's the pity?
She's trying to like hold back anger and trying to seem calm and professional in front of him. I just need some time to think, trying to not let my emotions guide me. I know Brontha needs allies. I know it needs to grow in power, and I think we can assure that with or without them.
He reaches for your hand.
Just lets him take it.
Sort of folds your hand between his and just a very firm, strong, reassuring grasp. It says, "Of course Brontha will prevail." who chooses to stand beside us is simply a matter between the wise and the fools.
Well said. My mother's been keeping me informed about the council matters, but if she happens to leave anything out, will you fill me in?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I have to tend to important academy matters like the sage and whatnot. So I will not be giving this any thought. So hopefully you guys can keep the Dune Riders busy until things settle here.
Taking this as the dismissal it is, he chooses to answer by taking one hand off of yours so that he can kiss it instead. Knightly style.
Knightly style with Riz. Just smiles and gives kind of like the polite half bow and starts to head out the room.
Okay. All right. He doesn't have any Columbo one more things for you, so.
No more gifts? What the fuck?
He was barely gone. And he served you this whole spread. What do you want?
That's true. That's true.
All right. When you step out into the hall, there's like 3 Phoenix Knights, and the 2 servants are gone. They actually are refilling the cart and getting more refreshments and stuff like they were told to. There's 3 Phoenix Knights, a Oryxian sorcerer, and a sorcerer wizard from Onderud, all just sort of standing awkwardly in the hallway.
When you get a chance, can you write the name of the chick from the letter?
Yes. I will put that into chat.
So how'd it go?
Good. Just a lot of pressure coming from the Dune Riders, and I'm just keeping tabs on dear Pevom's family.
Pressure?
You know, just...
He wasn't here for any of that.
Yeah. They're just inquiring about some arrangement, and we're very busy, right, guys? Doing academy stuff.
Very busy.
Yeah.
Important things. Very important things. More productive than, getting married.
Speaking of important things, we should talk to Elnar about the new developments.
We
As
should.
much as I want to grill you about this arrangement.
It's very interesting.
It's not. It is not. Just gestures to the lack of ring on her hand and does a face and just like keeps walking.
Well, when she gestures to the lack of ring, Apple gestures to her new circlet.
It just rolls her eyes. It just
Matro audibly laugh at that.
It's just, if you think about it, it's just a big ring that goes on your forehead.
Shut the fuck up.
Are you off to go see Master L now?
We're off to see the wizard.
Sorcerer, but yes.
Wonderful sorcerer of Oz.
the wonderful eldritch horror of Oz.
All right. You make the long flight and climb up to the office, and moments later, bam, you're talking with the headmaster.
Oh, nice.
She's eager to hear your report.
Gestures to Athalor first.
Oh, I thought that it would be yours to share as your sources got the information, but I'm happy to take credit.
Well, but your letter. Well, wait, do we know about his letter?
Not yet.
He has not
my
shared
bad.
anything about it yet.
Okay. Then I guess I would have said that was what that was. But never mind
Athalor,
that.
did you want to bring that up to them before you talk to El now, or no?
He'll bring it up to him later.
Okay.
Hello.
Come in, and she'll shut the door behind you. You can see Mason, the other day when you were here, you saw that she had all sorts of construction reports and stuff. Now there's a lot of maps and arcane spell diagrams and weather charts on her desk. She pulls up some seats for you and go.
Sits comfortably and like kicks her feet up on the desk, super like
Mhm.
mad chill. Oh my god. So Inaros came and she wants to go like have like girly talk and then like knows that this isn't their study time. So it goes, he was here to share who the correspondent was
Mm.
from Onder.
Good. So we have that now, right?
Some banker guy, right, Athalor?
Yes, someone with easy movement between both Brontha and Underwood, and could likely be fairly easily coerced or perhaps tricked into being our passage in and out.
And so we're okay if this person takes the fall, right? That was always the plan.
Only if it is linked to that other family, right?
The Lewins. We were
Right.
hoping, though, as much as I would love to leverage this for political gain, the most important factor is still rescuing the sage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Garnet, refresh me on all the steps of this.
One more thing. In a totally normal legal way, Mantra and I met a dragon.
What?
Yeah. I'll take responsibility, credit, one of the two. I guess we're here to figure out which one that is. In my dream, there was a dragon who came to it.
Good
Sent
dragon?
by
Bad dragon?
good dragon,
Dream
presumably sent by the Titan Raelta. The name of the dragon was Wurunra. And they were able to travel within Dream and outside of it very easily, but said they were sent by the Titan to help rescue the sage. So then the sage afterwards could help with other things, I think, but they're hoping this wasn't another book Infernal situation.
Weights the scale that we got.
To contact them and about when the plan's going to be executed.
Okay. Okay. Bronthan Spy, Dream Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
She sweeps aside all the stuff on her desk and like pulls out a parchment and just starts. All right.
The dragon would distract the herald, presumably,
Got it.
allowing us time to get in, get the sage, and get out.
Right. So now that I think we have all of our business out there, plan shadow walking to the place that the sage is at. Well, we get to Onderud, then shadow walk from there because that'll be the easiest way to get to the sage. And we have our ways of locating her, like we did before. Getting there and either minimizing her with a potion or a scroll, whatever works out there, putting her in a pocket, and that'll kind of unweave her from the firmament if we shrink her, and then grab her and leave. And ideally, this dragon will keep the herald busy until we leave and we return to Ioth.
It's a remarkably complicated yet simple plan.
Get in, shrink, get out.
Okay. Part 1. Getting to Onderud. It is not difficult for us to travel to Onderud under normal diplomatic circumstances. We have good relations with them for now. So reaching Onderud should not be difficult. Then we shadow walk to find the sage from Onderud, from somewhere specific in Onderud.
Well, probably can't get to the place where it would be most likely for success, because that's highly guarded, so we can probably just do it from anywhere, I think.
The gyre chamber would be ideal.
And likely impossible.
And likely impossible.
Even
be.
for wait, I guess DM question before I ask a
Mhm.
stupid question. Halls of Power, Gyre, how close are these things?
All in the same place. When Inaros talks about the halls of power, he's being metaphorical about the upper crust, the movers and the
Oh.
shakers, the room where it matters. The gyre is at the very, very center of Onderud, and it's a special case because normally outsiders aren't allowed in there. It's not. It's like the power plant, It's like the unshielded thermal exhaust port. It's not part of the tour most of the time. The only reason that the lot of you went there was because it was an absolute crisis. Under normal circumstances, it's not something where Elnau could just say, "Hey, can I go see the gyre?" And they'd be like, "Sure, no problem." There'd be a lot of talking about it first. Now, she probably could because it's a marvel of magic, and she's the head of the greatest institute of magical learning in the Four Kingdoms. But
There'd be a lot of red tape.
yeah, it would be a lot of red tape.
But this banker guy is someone who can get close or not.
I seem to recall something about sneaking into his pockets.
Yeah, we were going to shrink into his pockets, but how close could he get us to if we were to coerce him?
Ostensibly, he could get very, very, very close, like right outside, I would say.
Okay, well, we could either coerce him or force him.
Or if he doesn't know we're there, he likely has chambers or at least an office within close distance of a gyre.
You could always do the dominate person thingy, right?
Yeah, if worse comes to worse, and we have some kind of, memory blank in case if we start with the coercion, that doesn't work, dominate, he's still going to remember that part. And
yeah.
Depends entirely on how many of those spells I remembered from the evil book.
Well, this guy is financially motivated, looks at Athalor.
To bribe him?
Finances.
Seems like if he would sell out his own nation for money, then what's inviting some guests, including, a current resident, for a little ride?
He already has a standing relationship with Brontha. Perhaps it would be better if you offered the gold.
Okay, I'm happy to pay him, but
Obviously I'd give you the gold.
Thanks.
Athalor, roll
wondering
46 times 10, please.
Okay.
You take that much damage.
You appear to be dead. Oh, exactly 100.
Okay. You gain an additional 100 gold. That's totally always been in your stash thanks to a rare Streamloots card that was played.
Oh, good. That brings me up to 3,290 gold.
Bruh.
Someone also played Kiss of the Scald, so all of you have inspiration. One inspiration that must be burned tonight.
Yay! Thank you.
Oh, nice.
So do we have that potion of shrinking?
We can acquire that. That's not a problem.
And we have to figure out who is casting the shadow walks, because obviously we have to cast it once and then cast it again and keep it open so that during the 1 minute we can get out, get in.
Right.
And Untermaller's coming. Was he on board with the plan?
Yes, it is. We are taking a risk with both Onderud Refuge and Brontha in doing this. It's a sensitive situation. If Untermaler comes along and this goes south, he may not be able to help talk us out of this. As in out of any trouble that arises. It may be better if Untermaler isn't directly involved.
I just thought he might be good for counterspell measures.
Absolutely, he would be good for it. But the Herald doesn't have a body right now. All he's been able to do is psychic assaults against the Sage. We may not need to worry about counterspelling his magic.
Perhaps Wunra just takes the place of Untermaler effectively in dealing with Herald stuff.
And this dragon would be a complete third party with no connection to any of this. And a representative of the gods, and who's going to argue with that?
DM question. Now that I just thought about this. So we've scribed the Herald before, and it showed
Mhm.
us the scene of the sage and him.
Mhm.
How does the like technicals work of when you scry someone, when it scribe the body, the person, not just some image of them?
That is a good question. It
So like,
scries the person.
so
Like
like
a
what?
Voldemort scenario.
Yeah. So like, if that was just like an image of him or like a soul or like I don't know what we're considering that. Does that could we assume that there's no body then if that's what
Roll
is
an
left?
Arcana check with this new thing in thought.
Is it 29?
29. Remember how Boreas, a Titan, was perma-killed by being dragged into a sphere of annihilation? Titans are
Yeah.
extremely hard to kill. Titans and Infernals. You blast the crap out of them, and they usually just reform because they're like the Titans are part of the world. They represent different aspects of the world. Even Arakura, the Sovereign of Stone, her physical manifestation was destroyed, but she wasn't destroyed because she is Earth. And if she was actually destroyed, there'd be no Earth. There'd be no minerals. So she's not gone. She's just been forcibly demanifested. But a sphere of annihilation was able to completely destroy Boreas, and he is not coming back. Granted, he's one of the weakest Titans because it's four entities that combine to form one Titan. But still, a sphere of annihilation did that. Ostensibly, the Herald was in the ritual chamber with Alexander when that huge sphere of annihilation was conjured. His body probably doesn't exist anymore. His body was probably destroyed entirely.
Do I have any infernal knowledge on infernals possessing like humans or taking over people's bodies essentially?
None of the Infernals have done that. Well, no, I mean,
Well, didn't he take control of Alex or is that like some kind of mutual
he was channeling
thing?
Alex was channeling him. Alex was a conduit.
Do to the boys who were Ioth's companions?
What was that?
What did Zethius do to the boys who were Ioth's companions? Just corrupted them?
Those records are extremely, extremely vague. So warlocks, when Alexander was a warlock of the Herald still had a separate body. He just sort of had a direct channel to Alexander. Much like when Alexander became a warlock of Zethius isn't only possessing that Alexander. He just has a direct conduit, like Alexander is now was linked to him in that regard. So there is, I mean, and Bealfagor has controlled people before, right? Like he controlled Dubasif, but that wasn't Bealfagor like exorcist discorporating and entering the body. That was remote puppetry. There are demons and fiends that can turn ethereal and possess people. There are no records of Infernals, full-titled Infernals doing that. However, the Herald is the most poorly, well, aside from Anachronus, I guess, the Herald is the most poorly understood Infernal because he didn't show up until after the dawn ended. And despair never dies. So apparently he should have died, but he didn't. And his soul, or whatever he calls a soul, still exists in incorporeal form.
How does he hold magical power or energy if he doesn't have a physical form though? How does he hold all of that in?
He only is exuding psychic energy at this time. He's been using, so all of his, like his aura of despair, just messing with your head, making you feel bad, dragging up your worst memories and stuff. That's just like pollution that he exudes. That's just his nature. So even in incorporeal form, he still exudes that. But he has not been using spells on the sage, which is why she can just sit there with mind blank, which lasts 24 hours. So all she's been doing this whole time is just like, mind blank. Mind blank.
La 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 la.
Exactly. Exactly. So she's completely immune to his attacks, but if she drops her guard or loses the mind blank or anything like that, he can mess her up. But he doesn't
Tinfoil
have like
question.
he can normally work powers of ice magic and necromancy. He doesn't have access to any of that without a body.
Tinfoil question.
Yes.
Did Barash died before the dawn ended, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Right at the end though.
Okay, I'm just cooking.
So, do we need other defenses besides back in character? Besides maybe counterspelling, do we need something to counteract the aura of his?
Yeah, any psychic dampeners that we have.
I'm
Any
sure psychic resistance will be easy to come by.
Mhm. Yeah, potions of psychic resistance are a dime a dozen. Let's see.
Is that just for psychic damage, or is that also for like wisdom throws and shit like that?
I believe that's just for psychic damage.
What?
Alright,
Bringing in my Baldur's Gate knowledge here. What about like a globe of invulnerability?
That might not work because the Herald isn't specifically using spell effects. A Globe of Invulnerability blocks spell effects of X level or lower. As an Infernal, the Herald has access to bullshit powers that aren't on that ranking.
What the fuck? Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, high level monsters cheat. They just cheat.
So do we.
That's like a 6th level spell. I didn't know they could just fuck you. It doesn't work.
Oh, it's great if you're in like up against a wizard or a sorcerer. It completely nerfs the shit out of them. But Infernals
maybe
are
just-
challenge ranking 20 plus.
So maybe a wisdom, any wisdom boosting
Mason,
things?
do you have anything hope related? Mind shielding?
Nope. Just a little healing and circle per usual. I mean, counterspell, but no spells. So
Yeah, it doesn't apply here.
Mental
Someone in
busters
the
doesn't help
school
with
has to
wisdom
have
saving throws,
something.
I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure I can come up with something.
I mean, I can bless you as usual, but it's only a small help.
That will help, but all right, we don't have to solve all of this immediately unless we're leaving immediately, which we haven't made contact with this Evan Dull fellow or decided how we're handling that. So she just writes down a note and she's like, I have to talk to this department and this department.
well, for if Evandel can get close to the lower chamber, but not into it, did we still want to try to exercise that plan? I imagine even to get like one door further, it would be a great deal, and they would have a lot of security defenses to actually get into the chamber.
The gyre? Do we need to?
Well, no, it'd just make it easier. But
Gnomes, how close are the treasurer's offices to Vijaya?
Pretty close. I mean, it's a fairly large complex, so it's not immediately on it, but it's pretty
like
close.
in the Houses of Parliament, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
We could probably make this work from within their office if they were to return to Underwood and return to the Treasury. We'd be within spitting distance. We couldn't
That's
get
good
into
enough.
the actual chamber without attracting undue amounts of attention. But we could get close.
And the question is, are we chancing coercing him and getting turned down, or are we just
It's supposed to
gonna-
happen in a minute, right?
the what?
Our shadow walk in, get her out.
Oh yeah, I meant the getting to the gyre dude guy.
I was thinking that it's better if they don't know. If when he's leaving Brontha, perhaps our friend takes him aside for a customs check. We shrink ourselves, get inside a briefcase or some other manner of item that he's taking. Perhaps a gift from Brontha to bring back. And then when it gets put down in his office, we pop out, perhaps put him to sleep. Do
Elf.
our thing. Oh yes, an elf. Goddamn.
Which means that he'll have advantage on saves against Dominate Person as well.
I think we have
Oh,
silvery
man.
barbs times 2.
But
Double
anyway,
fuck.
in terms of my plan, return in small form so he doesn't know he's carrying us. When we get to the office, we can come out, 4v1 him somehow, then shadow walk.
Looks at Elle now to see what she thinks. Seems
Also,
difficult.
we would also have the advantage that we would have just come back with him from Bronfer from a somewhat illicit dealing. Who for us to be blackmailed.
All right. If we're going to smuggle ourselves in with him, then we need to make sure that whatever we're using is going to last long enough for us to get to where he's going. What if he decides to go, I don't know, take a trip to the market instead of going straight to his office? Arrangements can be made. We'll come up with some sort of a deal that means he needs to get there right away. But
I can volunteer to coerce him. And worst case, I'll threaten to reveal all his dealings if he doesn't comply.
I mean, you would be the one most likely to know.
How could he ever let that happen to my dear friend's homeland? I would have to inform him.
It's basic, but I think it's the best shot. Plus, if you do the scary ghoul thing,
Well, I'm hoping money will be enough of a motivator for someone as spineless as him.
I think start off with a blackmail, move to the money, then demon mode.
Well, we'll figure out the order based on the vibe.
Just feel him out. But we could probably have your friend in Bronto taking him aside for a customs check while leaving. Give us some privacy.
Mm-hmm.
yes. Naros, customs check, and
then we need a way to make sure he goes to a place in Underwood that isn't going to be well monitored when he arrives. If he goes in through a primary teleportation circle, we'll have issues.
And you guys can just be already shrunk in my pocket, so I can be like, I want to go to Onderud without anyone knowing.
if you go to the main teleportation circle, then they are going to see you there. And they are on watch for mirror clones, which means they're going to have illusion piercing magic there. So if you go there in disguise, and if Garnet Tosaka goes to Onderud and then shortly after the sage is freed, there will be questions.
No, like I shrink the party in my pocket, and then I tell him, okay, like just please bring me to Onderud. I will shrink in your pocket, so that he doesn't know that there's more
Shrinking
people
spells
involved.
you can't nest them like that.
You can't?
What do you mean nest them?
Where like they shrink into your pocket and then they cast shrink on you, it's not going to shrink them again.
No, that's fine.
We need to find a way to have him return to Underwood in a less surveilled environment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of depends on what he usually does, right? Because if he usually goes back in a very monitored place, and they would know, oh, he's not back yet.
I could return to Underwood and see what teleportation circles are around in the halls of power. I could visit
You
my
would have
father.
access to non-standard teleportation circles, which will still be guarded, but differently. I mean, at this point, with this level of paranoia, they can't leave any teleportation circles actually unguarded with wards or something, but you might be able to figure it out.
Probably a good time to add to the pot of shit. My father has been placed on medical leave.
Yes.
We did hear about that.
I could just
Medical
tell the
leave.
guy to bring my friends because we just want to go on a field trip, and he doesn't have to ask fucking questions. He just close his eyes and let us jump in his pockets consensually until he says no.
Then money. Then blackmail.
Then money. Then blackmail. Then do what I fucking say. Dominate person.
Athalor, are you thinking something?
I'm thinking a lot of things. I don't know how many of them are helpful. Just wondering about entry vectors. Like you said, paranoia is running high, especially with a provisional council in charge.
Yes. I imagine they're conducting an internal review regarding the survival of Lamruil on Onderud, who your father reported dead some years ago.
Does your dad have like a Life 360 on you or anything like that we should know?
A what?
Like, can he
Monitoring
track
spell.
you? I feel like he's been able to keep tabs on you without ever having anyone here besides you and your uncle.
I don't think so, though. Master Elnar, if you have any means of detecting magic that I wouldn't know about.
She'll pop a detect magic and just sort of scan you over and shake her head. This room, at least, is very secure, as are many rooms inside the academy. And we have the benefit of the golden sphere. Most scrying attempts are going to be blocked.
Are we safe to have, like, let's say if it's uncle that's doing this, he's ratting you out. Do we mind blank you if you are being scried upon as soon as you leave this room? Should we even bring you along? Like, if they find out what we're up to, it's kind of really bad.
I'm willing to remain behind if my presence jeopardizes the mission.
Something we
I
can
can
do to
go
like
in
bait
and
them? Oh wait, you've been talking shit about them this whole time, I guess.
I am my own person.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm fairly sure my uncle will likely imagine it was us who did that. Because we are the ones with the biggest vested interest and the most means to do so. I'm not sure to what degree I could be staying or going. Though if the party comes to a consensus that it's too dangerous for me to be involved, I'll accept that.
As much as I would love to do a mind blank just for insurance in case your uncle does want to sabotage the plans when we're away from the academy, we're away from most of our forces. Your uncle also may be the only one who can protect you from the Herald if he does want to do any kind of mental infiltration.
Exactly. If you wish
So,
to mind blank me, I have to remain behind. I'll be vulnerable.
so whose side is your uncle on then?
I'd like to think he's on the side of my family's legacy. With my father deposed for medical reasons, you have to learn to trust my judgment. And as I said, I've made up my mind on this. We are freeing the sage.
I think we should trust your judgment as well, then.
It would just be very dangerous if we had to go up against the Herald and a mind demon that is in your body and someone we cannot attack. I don't know, Master Al, now I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking.
I was planning on mind blinking all of us. I've been sitting here running the math on how many people we have who could cast it and how many scrolls we might have in hand. It's going to be extremely limited. But I think we can mind blink 4 people. And the reason I was going to do that is because that is what the sage is doing to protect herself against the Herald. So whether you go or not, I'm afraid a mind blink is part of this.
Has to be a willing creature I guess it's worked before without Uncle being able to push back.
It was
break through
specifically
it.
used to isolate Athalor from his uncle.
As long as Athalor is willing, then.
However, I will be weaker. Perhaps it would be better if I stayed behind and did some manner of...
We can't
spellcraft
possibly
here.
leave you behind. We're potentially delving through the gyre.
Yeah, you'd be a good scapegoat if they were to catch us. Be like, it was
meant
him.
that he's an expert on the matter, Garnet.
Yeah. Well, it's his home, so if we were to invade, it wouldn't be Bronto or Ioth Academy's fault. It would be your little heir's fault. So
He's
they wouldn't
also
be as
my
mad.
student, and I have an obligation to protect him as well.
Oh, thank you.
I never said that wasn't going to happen. Just layers of insurance here. But we do need someone to shrink the sage and house her. So Athalor, you would
I
definitely
could
be
I could
good
use
for
a
that.
mage hand to deliver the potion and then house her. That's probably the best I can do while mind blanked. As well as some basic abjuration magic and a touch of blessing.
Because then whoever with the mask, I am also. I guess we're going to be immune to psychic, but I'll be maybe a good person to front face along with El now, or I guess not Untamalur because he's not coming anymore. But I'll have a counter spell, so I can help kind of protect you while you do that.
Master Elna, how much experience do you have with miniaturization?
It's not particularly my area of expertise. Puabi, our master transmuter, would be far more experienced with that.
I'd have to ask if the sage could be maneuvered by a mage hand while miniaturized.
I'll ask him. I'm going to need him anyways. For this mission to work, we can only get 4 mind blanks. I believe it's going to be the 4 of us.
Okay.
Plus, maybe this dragon. Who, if the gods want to intervene, then what happens to their followers is on their heads, not mine. We can work with the 4 of us. Athalor, you may not be available to do that if we need you. If your connection to the gyre somehow enables you to help untangle or manipulate the space around the sage, we may need Mason to do the miniaturization.
My brain is still my own while mind blanked. That will not be affected.
Mm-hmm. I just mean in terms of multitasking. Regardless, we cannot do this today. I need specific magic from my top Muintiori, which they probably don't have prepared right now. So this is at earliest, this is going to happen tomorrow. So what are our next steps in order to do this? We need to get leverage on, we need to arrange for Evandal to be recalled to Bronca, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How soon do we want to execute this?
I could have an additional cover story.
Hmm?
I have a reason to return to Underwood that's not just my father. I mean to present a trophy of our victory over Defraxis. I need to start working on some political symbolism that I am representing our refuge well. I intend to create a shield from the gears that have been looted from the Defraxian tower. I'll need the Artificer's help.
Savvy.
Your return could still be linked with an event that happens shortly after.
Yes.
True.
But hey, I bet your return after the event could be a nice distraction.
Master Mia Hathor said that last time that kind of thing happened, the chambers were ablaze with gossip. It might do a little bit to waylay the discovery of a sage's being missing. It's not like she's in a well-documented sphere of Vajaya. I could barely even track her movement, and I was connected to the entire thing. It would take a while for them to realize she was even gone unless she simply knocked back at the door saying, guess who's free?
Especially with... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If Untamalur, we can have extra guards at the office while we're gone.
Mm-hmm. Be on high alert. Okay. So this at the very least can't happen until tomorrow, probably further than that. I will work on arranging the spells that we need to protect ourselves. All of you think about how we're going to get this agent back to Brontha. You said Anaros could help with that, yes?
Yeah, I could send him like a message. Like kicks her feet.
Can I have a sending scroll?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's for
Then let's get to
school.
work.
Okay.
Excellent.
Bye.
I'll talk to the artificers. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Smell you
All right.
later.
The rest of the day is yours. What are you going to do to prepare for this?
I'll grab a sending spell to send to Anaros.
But before we leave the tower, once we're out here and the door's closed, Athalor will show the letter to the other two. While he's presumably away from as many prying eyes in his head.
Okay.
What? What is this?
I received this. It seems to be some manner of, well, it's both a threat and a promise. They want information on the school.
Do you know who they are?
No idea. And their identity, the Crimson Council, is antithetical to many images of Underood. So it's a new player, or an old player with a new face. I won't know more until I've responded to them. Of course, I don't plan on betraying our defenses, but it's perhaps valuable for us to learn who in Underood would want to know deeper, darker, or more defensive secrets of Ioth Academy.
What if our little Underood friend may want to sell information about them? Everyone
part
does
of the-
banking, right?
That be part of the blackmail or something? Are you proposing?
I mean, that could be the initial vibe of the meeting. And if he seems happy to do dealings, I could propose a second one.
I mean, you could always fake out at the beginning. The Crimson Council expects your report. Somewhere outside of Underood.
What if he doesn't know the Crimson Council?
Plan B. I don't know enough at the moment. Hopefully they'll respond in good time and give us some insights as to what kind of entity they are. It might even be one person masquerading as a council.
Hmm.
Wouldn't be
It
the
is
first time.
interesting, the wording of this letter. Just maybe I'm reading a bit too much into it, but we trust this message reaches you in good health. And didn't your father just be forced to leave for health issues? Maybe just a coincidence, but
Yes, medical reasons. Recovering from the attack. He's fine. But, bureaucracies. I'll find any reason. And perhaps you're onto something there.
maybe they had a part in it. It could be
Maybe
nothing
so.
at all.
Perhaps it's a rival looking to discredit me if I should give away too much. Him me as untrustworthy. Either way, it's a complication. Not one that will stop us.
Okay, well, can I have your credit card to do business stuff now, though?
Yes, our credit card.
Ah, the team's fund.
Mhm.
I mean, technically it's Ioth's.
I don't see
he's
him
dead.
here. It just like shields the eyes of the statue. Like in the room. Shh, shh.
Yes, I still have in my inventory 20% of Ioth's treasure, which is a considerable amount of gold
Mhm.
from which you may pull.
We'll go to write the sending letter to Anara.
You're going to cast sending to Anaros. What do you want to say?
Oh, I gotta make sure it's 25 words. So maybe
Mhm.
I'll do this during our break. That's usually happening soon. So
1, 2.
the-
Hey, babe.
hey,
You up?
babe, I miss you. Thank you for the dinner. Oh shit!
All right.
Another scroll, another scroll.
I'd love it if sending had like, oh shit.
Oh shit! I mean,
It
oh,
literally
God.
records every word you say and you can't edit. Yeah. All right, then. We'll go to break now. We'll go ahead and go to break now. And when we return, we'll see if Anaros has anything interesting to say.
He always
Okay.
does.
We're back.